Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back another video from Swag Kage, and today we're checking out how strong is Sasuke without the Rinnegan. And I'm pretty sure the thumbnail that Swag Kage had posed the question, is he stronger than Naruto? Because Naruto now has no longer got Kurama. They've both been kind of nerfed. So let's see how him losing the Rinnegan affects his stakes within, you know, his rankings within the series.
Swag Kage here, and today, since you guys responded so well to the video about how strong Naruto
it was class. It was really good.
I'm going to be following it up by talking about how strong Sasuke should be without the Rinnegan. Now, unsurprisingly, just like in Naruto's case, figuring this out is pretty complicated. I don't know if
he's lost a few abilities though, hasn't he? Can't do the switch out thing anymore.
But the answer in this case
or that.
I think
it brings all the rocks together.
There are a lot of reasons I think so, and one of them is Sasuke doesn't really have a base form like Naruto does.
Yeah, that's true actually. It doesn't transform into anything. Other than Susanoo, but like, yeah.
Enter and exit the form at will. Whereas Sasuke here, ever since he got it, hasn't shown any signs that he's able to turn his Rinnegan
off.
Now,
yeah.
he can deactivate his Sharingan, and I don't just mean dial it back from Mangekyo Sharingan to regular.
He's like normalized.
Completely. So, I guess if you want, you can consider that his base form, but that doesn't really matter.
I suppose,
as
yeah.
far as this
It's a slight transformation.
Because Sasuke still has his Sharingan. What I mean when I say we've never seen Sasuke fight in base is we've never seen him fight without the Rinnegan.
Yeah, it's always there.
That makes it a lot more difficult to say for sure how strong he is. Not just relative to
so what do you have to do? Go for Madara?
Even past versions of himself.
Yeah.
Now there are a couple of different ways that we can look at this, but before I get into any of the variable stuff, let me lay out what we
already know. Okay.
First of all, and this should be obvious, Sasuke can't use any of his Rinnegan abilities.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I was showing my girlfriend this fight yesterday, and she was like, "What?"
Weird space-time ninjutsu that allowed him to pass through different dimensions.
Must be weird having that and then not being able to do it anymore. Like, whoa, imagine being able to travel through dimensions and it's like, oh.
Like Nagato or the Six Paths of Pain, like Shinra Tensei, Shibaku Tensei,
Yeah.
Universal Pull, the ability to absorb chakra, all that stuff is out of his
It's gone. It's a lot.
Something else that I'm pretty sure most of you already know is that when Sasuke acquired this Rinnegan, it replaced the Sharingan that used to be there, but he still retained all of his Sharingan
abilities. Yeah.
In other words, up until Boruto at least, this was the eye that Sasuke used to perform Amaterasu. And there are a lot of people who are under the impression that now that this eye is gone, Sasuke can't use Amaterasu anymore because his other eye, the one that's still just an eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, allowed him to use Kagetsuchi, or in the English dub, Inferno-style flame control. Based on what we know, this ability allowed him to manipulate the flames of Amaterasu, but only once they already existed. He couldn't create any black flames with this eye.
Right,
but that
was
seems
what
to have
controls
changed
it.
in Boruto, because after he gets his Rinnegan stabbed out, Sasuke's shown using Amaterasu from his other eye, so even though it shouldn't work that way,
it
and
does.
Sasuke shouldn't have access to any Mangekyo Sharingan powers anymore,
oh dear.
he still does. He can still use both Amaterasu and Kagetsuchi, which is definitely weird, but like
he's
I said,
still doing it,
just
none the same.
Or
none the same, all the same.
Is that Sasuke's arsenal and the utility he'd provide to any team while on the battlefield has been cut down drastically. A lot of the most powerful tools in his arsenal are just straight up gone now, but he does still have Amaterasu and Enton Kagetsuchi.
Chidori.
He hasn't been totally crippled or anything. Now, I don't know whether or not he'll retain the ability to use his Susanoo. Because Madara was able to use his while blind. Itachi was able to keep his active without his Mangekyo Sharingan turned on. As a matter of fact, he had his Sharingan completely deactivated.
And he was ill.
His eyes were just straight up gray. And in one of the Evolution OVAs, Shisui was able to activate his Susanoo with just one of his Sharingan. The other one had just been stolen by Danzo. But when Sasuke went blind during his fight against Kakashi at the 5 Kage Summit, his Susanoo just completely disappeared on the
So everyone's got different stuff.
I don't know. I don't want to make any
it's awkward, isn't it, when it's not
what
consistent.
I will say is that even though Madara was able to use his Susanoo while blind, he never used the perfect Susanoo without his Sharingan.
Right.
So even though I'm willing to admit that moving forward, Sasuke might be able to use his regular humanoid Susanoo, it'd be a lot harder to convince me that he could still use the perfect Susanoo with just one eye. And since we've never seen anyone use the perfect Susanoo without both of their Sharingan intact before, I'm gonna lean towards no, he can't. But like I've been saying, I'll grant him that maybe
the humanoid one,
has access to the regular weak weaker Susanoo. In that case, like with the Rinnegan, he'd have lost a pretty substantial part of his
He's
arsenal.
lost a lot, man.
Definitely something that I think we can all agree was one of his most powerful abilities. So even if we don't assume that losing the Rinnegan makes Sasuke physically weaker, he should still, overall, at this point, be a much less capable fighter than he was in his prime.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Sasuke didn't really use the Rinnegan for that much in Boruto, other than...
I think he's just lost a lot of abilities, isn't he?
So he might not really care that he can't use the Pretty Pat's chakra absorption or Chibaku Tensei or whatever. And
Yeah.
ever since Boruto started, it hasn't felt like Sasuke has liked all of the other Rinnegan jutsu very much, but I do think he's going to miss Amino Tejikara.
Definitely, he used that like nothing.
All the time. Now, like I said earlier, not being able to use any of these...
He's just all over the place, wasn't he? Just switching that Momoshiki fight. Jeez.
Even if losing the Rinnegan didn't make him physically weaker. But I think that losing all this stuff and still staying at the same power level would be vastly preferable to being able to keep all of these abilities and losing the raw power boost provided by the Rinnegan. Now, obviously, it doesn't work that way. I'm not saying it does, but I'm just trying to make a point about how important that power boost actually is. I think it's a lot more valuable than any of the new abilities the Rinnegan gave Sasuke access to. Now, real quick, I am going to throw a little asterisk at the end there. It definitely depends on how much stronger you think the Rinnegan makes Sasuke, because... obviously, if it's just a minor, like, 5% power boost or whatever, that's not a big deal. Being able to use Chibaku Tensei and the perfect Susanoo is probably a lot more valuable than that. But assuming the amp we're talking about here is that small, or even minor by any stretch of the imagination, is very optimistic for Sasuke. To be as fair as possible to anyone who might disagree with me, what I'm about to say isn't quite ironclad, but I think it comes pretty close. There are a handful of statements from near the end of Shippuden that imply, and in some cases just about flat out say, that the Rinnegan makes anyone who wields it more powerful. And not in a strength through versatility kind of way, but in the sense that they get faster, their attacks
increases
harder,
everything.
That sort of thing. When talking about one of Madara's Rinnegan, Obito says, even this One Eye's chakra and ocular powers are so strong I started losing myself. Yet I, who am not its original owner, was able to accomplish this much with just one. Now, the most important part of that statement, in my opinion, is the part where he mentions the chakra, as if to say the chakra volume was so great, or
just in that eye.
So powerful, or something to that effect, right? I think we can all agree that in one way or another, Obito was saying that this didn't just give him new abilities, it also came with its own massive supply of dormant chakra that he could freely use after implanting it. Or, in other words,
like a massive,
that
like,
having
reserve.
made him more powerful. He also tells Sakura, again to directly quote him, if both Rinnegan are restored to their true owner, I feel no one will be able to stand against him. Keep in mind that after Madara got his second Rinnegan, the only new ability he gained access to was a better version of Limbo
clones,
that allowed him to create more clones. And I guess Obito couldn't have really known that was going to be the case, but I don't think he expected it to give Madara access to new jutsu at all, really. I think that he was strictly talking about Madara's raw physical power.
Like actually getting a massive amp.
The last thing of note that he says in this conversation is, with ocular powers, only with both eyes together can their full power be unleashed, which may or may not be that important, because Sasuke is a bit of a special case, where one of his eyes is an Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and the other is Rinnegan, so this might not apply, but like I mentioned earlier in the video, Sasuke did use all of his Sharingan abilities through this Rinnegan, so it's totally possible that this statement applies to him as well. So what this would mean in the case of someone like Sasuke, or even in the case of Madara when he got his other Rinnegan back, is each eye amplifies the power of its owner by an unknown but observably significant amount. But together, the eyes provide a power boost that's greater than the sum of what they provide individually.
By their own,
sort of like when Thanos put the last Infinity Stone in his gauntlet, right? Like, it's not like the Mind Stone was just way stronger than all.
No, it was a combination of all of them.
Rather, it's that all of them had a unique trait where, when they're used together, the power boost they provide to their user is much greater than when they're used individually. Now, getting back to the Rinnegan, Obito said all of this about Madara's Rinnegan, which I'd assume is weaker than Sasuke's was. Even just looking at them side by side, this seems to be the case, and it would also make sense since Sasuke got his directly from the Sage of Six Suns, while Madara acquired his through more natural
means,
Plus,
yeah.
this one Rinnegan took Sasuke from being weaker than a version of Madara with one Rinnegan and no Tin Tails to being stronger than that same Madara after he'd become the Jinchuriki of the Tin Tails. And I know saying that might be a little contentious, but I do think that Naruto and Sasuke were stronger than one-eyed Jubi Jinchuriki Madara. Sasuke straight up blitzes him after all, and he ran away from the fight to steal Kakashi's eye so he could get his other Rinnegan back to fight them. But even if you don't agree that Sasuke was actually stronger than Madara, hopefully we can agree that the boost provided by Sasuke's Rinnegan was a lot bigger than the boost provided by Madara's Rinnegan. Now, it's also totally possible that this wasn't because of the Rinnegan, but instead because Sasuke was given Sage of Six Paths chakra from Hagoromo. And this is why I was saying at the beginning of the video that it's a lot less clear, even given all the information we have on the table, how strong Sasuke should be without this. It's impossible to say without making some assumptions how much of the heavy lifting the Rinnegan
actually did,
making him stronger, and how much of that was the power given to him by Hagoromo. It's also possible that the Rinnegan just contained all the chakra Hagoromo gave to Sasuke. There are just so many different possibilities that all lead us to wildly different conclusions about this topic that it's extremely difficult to say with any amount of certainty how strong Sasuke actually is. Like, another factor here that I haven't even talked about yet is it's unclear whether or not the chakra contained in the Rinnegan is actually gone, because it's not like the eye was just deleted, right? Like, he still has it in his eye socket.
It was just stabbed.
Damaged. So if, and this requires us to make a pretty big
assumptions. Okay, here we go.
All of the chakra given to Sasuke by Hagoromo is stored in his Rinnegan, then we have to figure a couple things out. The first of which being, is the eye still functional in any capacity, and is any of that chakra still there? Then we'd have to figure out if Sasuke can actually access any of the chakra.
Any of it, yeah, like, and how.
Still yes, we'd have to figure out exactly how many of the cells were destroyed, and then how many of the cells were damaged to the extent that they can't provide his body any physical energy.
Too many questions. Too many questions, man.
Which of the cells are able to provide some physical energy, but not as much as they could before. Hopefully you're starting to see why definitively answering this
it's
question
very, very
is pretty
difficult.
much impossible. There's just too much we don't know about the way the Rinnegan works, and like I said at the beginning of the video, we've never seen Sasuke fight without it. That is, unless you count the time travel filler, which I'd prefer not to, since I'm talking about manga canon anyway, and I don't even know if that filler is canon to the anime, so we're just gonna ignore it. In conclusion, there are a lot of different ways that you can interpret this, but in my opinion, just based off of what we know, and based on the way I think the Rinnegan works, I think that Sasuke is, at best, still relative to Naruto, maybe a little bit stronger than him, and at worst, substantially weaker than him, though I wouldn't be able to tell you precisely how much weaker. So for those of you still here, sorry for the half answer. When I started working on this video,
it's not like you can actually give a definitive one, is it?
Semi-definitive conclusion, at least, but it's pretty much impossible to say. It really just depends on how you interpret all of the information I laid out in this video. Like I said, I personally think Naruto's stronger. At best, Sasuke is still relative to him. Based on what we've seen and based on how we know...
Yeah, I would imagine that Naruto's still stronger.
That's the case. That's just my opinion, though. I am not positing that as any sort of concrete fact, and you're all more than welcome to come to your own conclusions about this. Anyway, I think that that's everything that I have to say about this. So as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.
Oh, the song's back. Are we? Cool. Very cool. Too many questions, too many things to be discussed, too many things we don't know. But, yeah, Sasuke's lost a lot, and yeah, I reckon because of that, when you see how they fight, and considering how strong is Naruto now without Kurama, yeah, I think Naruto is still stronger than Sasuke, but again, it's not definitive, is it? So cool. Thank you to our patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video upload, links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is all that helps support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for that very much. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, and leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch, discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys, all you guys, next time.